Hello again and welcome to this week's video briefing, which is a briefing with a difference. You will know if you tune into us regularly that we use this spot to engage some of the issues that we put before clients. The world of politics and business, society and economy, where they meet, where the risks are, where the opportunities are. Well, in a slightly different format, we're going to embrace those very same sort of issues, but in the context of what for us at Analytica is the highlight of the year, the annual international conference held in the splendid surroundings of Christchurch, Oxford. And I'm here with our CEO, Nada Musavisadeh, today to talk about the program, to talk about what we're seeking to achieve at the conference, and indeed to talk about some of the issues. Nada, we might as well start with those issues and perhaps have a little discussion about some of the principles that were at work as we put this year's program together.
Sure, thank you, Graham. I think for us, this is an opportunity really to bring our clients and our delegates together to engage with the whole range of issues in the macro environment that we on a daily basis help them navigate through our analysis and advisory work. And this is broadly what we think of as really doing the macro diligence properly if you are an individual, a company, an organization, a government that's trying to navigate very, very complex environment situation where you have enormous volatility, great uncertainty, whether it's economic or political, and really getting a better and more granular sense of what's happening in individual countries and individual economies and their broader regional global implications is essential.
Because we do have a unique opportunity in these 2 and a bit days to actually cover the whole world, which is one of the distinctive features of this particular aspect of our work, isn't it?
It is.
To have this intense global briefing. One, however, that starts with the familiar sea of troubles that have been unfolding for some years now in Europe. We have a pretty distinguished lineup to get the conference off to a good start.
We do. We have a session on Europe, really looking at the fundamental question that clients, not just in Europe or North America, talk to us about, but in Asia, when I travel in Asia, Latin America, and the Gulf, even in those parts of the world that you'd think would be less focused on Europe. The first question, the second question, the third question is often what's happening to the euro, what's happening to the Eurozone. We have a senior minister from Finland, the Minister of Europe and Trade, Alex Stubb, and he will be laying out the broader vision from one of the important countries, clearly not in the focus of the crisis, but very interesting in giving a perspective of where the overall union will go. We have senior academics from both Greece and the UK and the US joining him, as well as John Sosinski, who is a senior banker from Blackstone, who will give us the view of the financial markets. What is the patience? What are the limits to what the markets think are possible? And how much can we really think of this particular moment as a turning point for the euro?
The other thing that traditionally is always very popular at the conference is the session on the global economy, and that will be true this year especially. We've got 2 issues there, the one you just touched on Europe and the China dimension. But just as the sort of overall scene setter, why don't you just sort of say something about the caliber and the lineup on the global economy
Well, I
side
think
of things?
we have found, certainly, since the financial crisis, but even now looking at the increasingly serious slowdown in China, and some of the difficulties the United States is having from an employment and jobs perspective, that the economic questions and the macroeconomic questions really loom very, very large. And so for this year, we have asked a series of individuals from banking, from economics, from business to join us. We have Jim O'Neill, who's chairman of Goldman Sachs Asset Management, of course, the individual who came up with the BRICS concept and really has been very, very bullish about emerging markets growth. We have Martin Wolf from the Financial Times, who really, I think, has been singularly perceptive on the challenges of the euro from a political economy perspective. And we have Shriti Vadera as well, and we have a terrific moderator in Sebastian Malaby from the Council on Foreign Relations, himself a distinguished author and economist. And really what they're going to try to do is not just look at where we are today, but try to map out where the growth will come from beyond the euro crisis. Where are we going to see growth come from, both in Europe as well as around the world?
One of the things we ought to say, perhaps particularly for those who are regular visitors and participants in this occasion, that the kernel of the conference is the intense discussion groups where our network of experts get together with the clients and subject themselves to forensic interrogation about the key issues of the day. That remains very much a feature of what we'll be doing this year. We mentioned the word China, and it's worth perhaps just elaborating a little on that, because one of the considerations that we and much of the rest of the world have at the moment is the fate of the missing leader-to-be. And that will be something that will, assuming he still has not appeared, in the next few days, very much on people's mind. What that means with us as a firm at the moment going for the less sensational of the many rumours about the reasons for that, that is to say that he's medically indisposed. Less sensational but no less significant if the illness, if that's what it is serious, and which may incapacitate him in some way and upset the balance of power. So we'll turn to that, I expect, in a big way at the conference. We're sticking, however, here so far to some of the major geopolitical themes, but there are other aspects that we're engaging, not least technology, the interconnected world, the wired world is something we're giving some attention to this year.
Indeed, indeed. And I think what we're trying to do there is really take it from both the private sector as well as the government perspective, look at the way in which social media generally, and we know this obviously from Twitter and Facebook and other ways that people are communicating and engaging with each other and pursuing both political and economic objectives. What is that doing to the corporate landscape? How do you manage your reputation, whether you're a company, whether you're a BP or an Exxon, or whether you're a government? We saw the role it had in the Arab Spring, and we really there have been very fortunate to have a number of very, very well-placed individuals who are really sitting at the center of this. We have a senior individual from Google Ideas. We have Alec Ross, who is the U.S. State Department's special advisor on innovation, who has been driving an enormous amount of change in the way the U.S. government thinks about technology. And we have some other journalists and others who are very prominent Twitter and Twitter and Facebook correspondents as well. And that's going to be a way to engage our delegates and clients on the way technology and innovation is changing the landscape for a business or a government. And that's going to be a very exciting session. We're looking very much forward to that.
The other session that I think perhaps finally we should draw attention to, and it'll be both in a plenary and in the discussion groups concerned the Middle East. As we speak, it's in the aftermath of the tragic death of the US ambassador to Libya, and in many parts of the Middle East, protests are underway over this so-called film denigrating the Prophet Muhammad. We've got a lot to consider there in terms of the attempts to remake Middle Eastern societies, to ameliorate the crisis in Syria, and of course to grapple with the vexed question of Iran.
Well, it is one of those perennial questions for our clients, for the way we try to analyze and understand the world, to really see where is this moment in the Middle East going to take us. And I think what we're finding today, this 2 years and a bit into the Arab awakening, are really a lot of the challenges and the risk factors around this that we identified very early on. That while this remains a singular moment of opportunity for much of the Arab world to escape a prison of tyranny and kind of claustrophobic security systems, it has unleashed at the same time forces, both in terms of extremist political forces, religious forces, forces both social and cultural, that will be very difficult to manage. And we're seeing this clearly across North Africa and in the Middle East. The Syria crisis remains a crisis. Others have said the risk there is not so much that it will implode as Libya did, but that it will explode and really have a much wider regional implication. And I might add that there we are going to have the British ambassador to Lebanon, Tom Fletcher, who is sitting and managing these issues for his government day to day, will be with us for the 2 days, and we'll be discussing it in our many sessions. We have a number of other distinguished experts on the Middle East. We have the Jordanian ambassador to the United Nations, Zaid Rad. We have Professor Vali Nasser, who is the Dean at the School of Advanced International Studies, and a number of others who will be joining us in addition to David Miliband, the former UK Foreign Secretary and our senior advisor, who has spent a lot of time in the Middle East himself. And one thing we've added later in the program, just given the importance of the issue, is a special session on Iran that we're calling the Gathering Storm, and that will bring together a group of individuals again there who I think will bring really quite extraordinary insight to where this question is, what are the risks of conflict, how do we see that conflict having an impact in global markets, and what does it mean for the broader geopolitical picture.
Thanks very much, Nada. And thank you for watching. If you're coming to our conference, I hope what we've said has whetted your appetite. We have an intense, stimulating, but I'm sure very enjoyable few days ahead of us at Christchurch. If you're not able to come this year, then do look at our website regularly during the conference period and indeed beyond, where you'll be able to see edited highlights on video of the proceedings, and there'll be other material available. As always, any aspect of our analysis or advisory service is of interest to you, it can help you, we'd be delighted to hear from you. Until next time, goodbye.